you? This is Lois. Welcome back to my channel. It's so good to see you guys back again. And I'm here to talk about Express Entry 2023-2024, guys. So come on in, all of you, get your friends, tag your relatives, tag everybody you think would benefit from this. As we look at Express Entry, we're going to look at the trends that we have seen so far, some new changes in Express Entry, and actually this is a call for you to look inward, reflect and see whether Express Entry is still your best pathway and how you should maximize Express Entry. Okay, guys, so here we are. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, nowhere else. I don't have offices anywhere in the world, guys. I know. People tell me there are people who are duping them, especially in Kenya, saying that I'm taking you to Canada to Lois, or I am Lois's agent. Please, I don't have any agents, especially in Thika and Nairobi. I've heard about some rumors there of people who are claiming to be connected to me. I've met people who have been conned thousands of dollars by people who are claiming that we work together. Okay, guys, so I work online. If you didn't consult with me, if you didn't talk to me directly, you didn't talk to Milele Immigration Services. Just thought I put that out there. Okay, guys? And now, have you subscribed? Thank you so much for the people who've subscribed. And thank you all for staying here while I was gone. And thank you for sharing this video. I am hoping that as we end this here, we end it on a note that, you know, I'm able to update you on the new happenings in this immigration front. So without further ado, let's talk about Express Entry. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into details about Express Entry. I believe you already have an idea what Express Entry is. I've talked a lot about it. So the changes we've seen, usual changes we've seen as they happen every year, of course, it's the increase in proof of finances. Okay, every year there's always a slight increase in proof of finances, and that has happened this year. And why I'm actually mentioning this is in relation to inflation, and especially people who are from countries that are greatly affected by inflation. I know it's affecting all of us, but especially people in Kenya, your shilling is depreciating so much, so you really need to keep up with the shilling depreciation, because that would affect your proof of finances. So you realize that, you know, just the other day I was in Kenya in May, and the Canadian dollar exchange rate was Kenya shilling 98 per dollar. And just today, I sent someone to check for me at a certain bureau, and it was 122 shillings per dollar. Keep up with the shilling and the proof of finances, because maybe if your finances haven't changed, and the finances you had in May, they may no longer be sufficient for you at this time based on just that shilling depreciation. Okay, enough of that. So let us now talk about the immigration numbers for this year as predicted, or rather as planned by IRCC. They had planned that this year they would welcome about 465,000 immigrants to Canada. You know, Canadian economy is mainly fueled by immigrants, and that is still on track. They have continued to invite and let people in so that they can meet their numbers. They have given their projections for next year. And for 2024, they are targeting to bring about 485,000 new immigrants. In 2025 and 2026, they are targeting 500,000 immigrants per year. Okay, so you can see that we are still on that upward rise when it comes to the numbers of immigrants coming to Canada. And now, we have had other notable changes, and sometime a few months back, I talked about the new changes that were implemented on the category-based draws in the Express Entry. And with that, I do not want to delve into the categories. Actually, what I'll do, I'm going to tag that video under the description part of this video, so that in case you're curious about the occupations that fall under these 6 categories, then you can go there and have yourself educated and hopefully know whether you will be among the people that we're discussing here today. Okay? So, my friends, you know that there's 3 programs that are processed under the Express Entry. So we are talking about the Federal Skilled Trades, the Canadian Experience class, and the one that I want us to look at today is the Federal Skilled Worker program. That is the program that a lot of you, especially who are abroad, use to come to Canada as permanent residents. Okay? So, with the introduction of the category-based draws, we have seen new trends, and this is where I'm telling people you need to do self-reflection. People, I'm here and I'm just telling you this. I didn't come here to spread fear. I'm here to give you facts, okay? So this is not a fear-mongering. I'm not here to alarm anybody. I just want to give you some facts, so that with these facts, you are armed on how you want to proceed. Because what I've seen is that people just talk to their friends, they talk to other people with ulterior motives, and they tell them, you know what, you fit into the Express Entry, just get into the Express Entry. This is a time you really need to understand. Always understand what it is you're dealing with when it comes to Canadian immigration. That way you are armed, you are empowered. So whatever anybody else tells you, you know where you lie in that, and you know the best pathway for you. And before you go spending money here and there, just because someone told you that you fit in the Express Entry, ask yourself, if I get into the Express Entry today, what are my chances? Like, am I just in the Express Entry for fun? Am I just there because it's trendy to be in the Express Entry? Am I in the Express Entry because all my friends are in the Express Entry? Or am I there because a friend told me they immigrated to Canada through Express Entry 4 years ago? Come on, guys. 4 years ago and today, things are totally different. Not just 4 years ago. Beginning of this year and today, immigration is different. Canadian immigration changes faster than the Canadian weather, okay? Get it from me. All right, guys? Now, it's high time that you ask yourself, do I really need to go into the Express Entry pool? And if I go into the Express Entry pool, what is my way out? And what is the time frame that I'll be in the Express Entry? Am I going to be there year after year after year? And what is the cost associated with me being in that Express Entry? And when I say a cost, I'm not talking of just finances. It's the opportunity cost. It's the age cost. People, age is costly in the Express Entry. Okay, so please, I always beg you, seek professional help before you go paying people retainers to get you into the Express Entry without you fully understanding, like, what are your chances of success. Seek professional help. It's a little money to book a consultation, people. Little money. Then, people always tell me, Lois, I'm booking a consultation. By the time they come to book a consultation, they've already paid their retainer somewhere of 1,200. And I'm like, why did you pay that without fully understanding whether you really needed to be in the Express Entry? I could have saved you a lot of money. You go do IELTS, you go do, education credential assessment, and then you realize that you had no business being in that Express Entry. Qualifying these days is not enough. Qualifying to go to the Express Entry is not enough. You need to know, I qualify. This is the way out of that Express Entry with an invitation. Okay? I'm talking of living with an invitation, my friends. What are the chances? Okay, guys? Anyway, let us look at the trends, because this is a time you need to be very wise when you're making this immigration decision. And I want us to see, with the new changes of the category-based invitations and the regular invitations, how about we look at facts? because only facts can give us trends. And once we know trends, I'm not going to tell you what will happen. I have no way of knowing what will happen, but you understanding the trends. It's like what they say, people who understand history, they are better placed not to repeat that history. So you need to understand the current trends. You need to understand the history of this immigration so that you know where we are headed. Only you can make that decision, my friend. Okay? So, under the new category based, we have 6 categories, and as I said, I'll tag that video that tells you about all the occupations in these categories. So we are talking of the healthcare category, the French proficiency category, STEM category, transportation category, agri-food category, and trades category. And then there's everybody else. If you're not in that category, you fall into my class of everybody else. And that is what they are calling, you know, the no program specific draws. So people at times ask me, Lois, I'm an accountant. Should I get into the express entry? And I'm like, it doesn't mean now that we have the category-based whatever draws that everybody else should not get into the express entry. No, there's no restriction on the occupations. The restrictions today are based on which occupations are getting higher chances of draws and what are the scores per those draws, so that you understand if I'm not within these 6 categories, like what points am I looking at and what are my chances of even coming close to those points. Okay, so that's what we shall look at. We shall look at the category based draws, and then we look at the no program draws. That way you can see for yourself, and if you really need one-on-one consultation, please book a consultation with me. I only deal with people through booked consultations. All right, my dear. So we are gonna go back. I want us to go back to some time this year when they resumed express entry, and not just resumed, it's when they introduced this category. Okay, so as we said, there's healthcare category. So let's look at healthcare category. Since June this year, they have done 3 draws under the healthcare category. Okay, they have done 3 draws, and one was done in June, the other one in July, the other one was done in October. So you realize that in June, the minimum CRS score that was invited was 476. However, this October, they did another draw of 431. That is a really low score in the express entry when you look at it, right? I can't even remember when we had that kind of a score invited in the previous express entry before they introduced this class, okay? In 2019, they were inviting 450s. So you can see them going down to 431. What does that tell you? It tells you that healthcare is high in demand in this country. Doesn't mean that those numbers are going to remain that low. They are fluctuating. And I'm saying they are fluctuating because June was 476, July was 463, October was 431. I don't know where it's headed. It could go lower or it could go higher. All in all, the healthcare category has invited 5,600 people since June 28, right, and they've done 3 draws. So, are you in healthcare? Then you should be in the express entry as long as you are even close to 400s, okay? Now, the other category that I want us to look at is the French-based proficiency. And in this category, it's becoming very popular. And if you've been following news, it's like Canada is really trying to push the bilingual agenda. And bilingual, I mean French and English, not Spanish and English. Okay, I get people who tell me, Lois, I'm doing Chinese, I'm doing Spanish. People, Canada, if you really want to benefit from the being bilingual, you want to talk about English and French. Okay, so since July, when they did the first draw under this class, they have done 5 draws under the French category. Okay, under the French category, my friend, guess how many people they've invited? They have invited 8,700 people. Yes, more than healthcare. Okay, and when I'm looking at the numbers, in July they invited 375 people, 375. That is so low of a CRS call. Okay, I think yeah, that was the no. You know what? was lower. I'm just looking at my numbers here. And on August 2nd, they invited 432. No, that is not lower. Yeah, so sorry guys. The one for July is the lowest at 375, and then that went up to 435, 439, and then went to 472, and October they invited 486. So that one has had an upward rise. That is a French class. It doesn't mean that it can go down, but still it's within a very reasonable range. So if you speak French, what are you waiting for, people? Okay, and then we look at the other categories. Unfortunately for the other categories, they've only had one draw only since June, okay, since the introduction of these categories. So there's the STEM occupations, and the STEM occupations received one invitation, and that was in July. They invited 500 people, and the score invited was the lowest score, that is 486. The agri-trade, the agriculture categories, they invited only one draw also on September 28. Minimum score 354, and they invited 600 people. The trades category, they've only had one draw where they invited 1,500 people, and the minimum score invited was 388. Last but not least is the transportation category. One draw on September 20th. They invited 1,000 people, and the lowest was 435. My dears, do you see the low? You know, yeah, some of these categories have scores invited in the 300s. So where are you, my dear? On the other hand, quickly, let us look at the no program invitations. That is everybody else, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an accountant, whatever trade, as long as you have met the requirements of the Federal Skilled Worker Program. I'm not going to get into that, but as long as you have met that requirement, you have your 67 points. If you're not in the category, in these categories, then these are the draws that have happened. And I'm going back to March, my friend, because I want you to see a trend here. In March this year, the no program specified draws, they invited, lowest score was 481, and they invited 7,000 people. 481 was still not a bad score. A lot of people could still meet that. But this score has gone up steadily, slowly, steadily. And as at July 11, July 4th, they got to the 500. So the draw that was done on July 4th, they invited 700 people, and the minimum score was 511. Come on, how many people can get over 500 points in the express entry? A lot of people, even who are here in Canada under studies, they may not even get that score. But again, they have other avenues. You know, as long as you're here as an international student, those people have avenues. If you want to know other avenues, you can always talk to me so that we evaluate even whether coming to Canada makes sense and how you'll become a permanent resident after graduating, simply because a lot of people will come here and they may still not get the pathways to immigrate after studying in Canada based on what we have today. So as I said, this is not spreading fear. I'm giving you facts based on the draws that these people are doing. Okay, in September, they invited 3,200 under the no program specified. The minimum score 531. Good heavens, who gets 531? Okay, 531 points. That was the minimum. That number, the score has come lower in October, because on October 10 they invited 3,725, and the minimum score was 500. What are we looking at here? It looks like the scores for the no program are specified. They have gone higher, of course, now because the competition has increased in that category. While these other 6 occupations, they still continue to receive preference with immigration. So it's high time that you ask yourself, where do I fall? And it's also important to ask yourself, if I get into the express entry under the other categories that are not, as in your principal NOC is not in these 6 categories, can you still utilize the category base? There is still aware some of you, people who have worked in different fields, they still aware that you can still leverage your work experience in the category based occupations as much as you are there under the other occupation. So it's always important. Please seek legal help. Seek professional help before you get into this express entry, before you start spending money. Be honest with yourself. I tell people, you can lie to everybody else, but please be honest with yourself and see, is this the best way to go forward? Or rather, how then can I leverage this category-based draws? Okay, because there's always a way around. Today you may not be succeeding because maybe you don't have these high points, but then how else can you leverage on these category-based invitations? Okay, all right, my friends. What I'm saying is, please, people, express entry is still the favorite of getting into Canada. As much as it's still the favorite, competition is always high. There's so many people who are competing to come to Canada from different countries. And before you get into that pool and say, oh, we are going to Canada, ask yourself, what is my pathway to Canada? What are my best chances of success? People send me emails and they say, Lois, how much is it going to cost me to come to Canada? And I'm like, under what? You need to know. You just don't say, how much does it cost? This is a question that I get. How much does it cost for me to get into Canada, and how fast? And my question is, do you really understand that there's so many programs? Under what program are we talking about? Because every program has its own requirements, its own processing time, its own financial obligation. So don't just think that coming to Canada is just coming to Canada. How are you getting into Canada? If you are coming here to stay and become a permanent resident, what is that flagship program that you'll use and say, this is the one that I will use? Even if you're coming as a student, know that I go to Canada as a student and this is my way out to becoming a permanent resident. Okay? Seek legal advice, book that consultation, www.mileleimmigrationservices.ca. I will put all those links in the description part of this video. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing, and I'll hope to see you in my next video. Bye now.